Hey guys, Gav321 here. If you're looking to buy any electric car, especially Tesla, surely one of the biggest things on your mind is how accurate those range claims really are. In this video, I'll be going over our efficiency, how it impacted our range, and the cost of that. So I'm going to pretense this by going over a situation of this test. So this data was collected within the first 1,000 miles of ownership in the car in the spring in Minnesota. So those temperatures are like anywhere from 50 to 70 depending on the day. It varies quite a bit right now. Now the main testing for efficiency was conducted over a 2-week period during the 5-day work week. And then the car was kept in our garage and then in an outdoor parking lot at work. So efficiency wise, my dad does do some spirited driving on occasion, but he also uses autopilot when on the freeway. So some important aspects of efficiency that we'll be looking at today that the Tesla community has already gone over in the past are going to be Sentry Mode, which is, if you don't know, is a security system that's like active and it uses all the cameras to record any incidents that happen if anyone gets close to the car. Phantom Drain, which is a phenomenon that drains the battery while the car is just sitting there doing nothing with Sentry Mode off. And the final thing that goes on is something called cabin overheat protection. It basically limits the car's interior temperature. If it goes over 105, it turns on the climate or whatever you set it to. So with all those aspects covered, and I'll go into what actually happened with those numbers later, let's get into the data. So I'm going to preface all this data by saying that I collected it using the Tesla app and the Tesla efficiency trip counter in the car. So there are two main aspects of efficiency. That's driving efficiency and drain while the car is just sitting still. We're first going to go over the driving efficiency of the car. So just in case you don't understand the terminology used in electric car efficiency, I'm going to go over what a watt hour per mile means. So a watt hour per mile is the amount of energy used to travel 1 mile. This car has approximately 75 kilowatt hour battery, so that's kilowatt hours, and a watt hour is just 1,000, so there's 75,000 watt hours. So if you take the total, which is 75,000, divide it by the watt hours per mile, you get the mile range. So the average miles traveled per day during the 2-week period was 37 miles total, but during that same period, the average miles of range used was 47 miles. So that's an efficiency of about 78.8% while driving the car. But the total average range used per day was 57 miles. So that brings me to the range loss in drain while parked. So during this period of testing, the car sat at my dad's work for about 8 to 9 hours per day. We had Sentry Mode enabled for all those days, and during that period of sitting with Sentry Mode and cabin overheat protection on, the car drained an average of 6.7 miles while sitting there at his work. Then, once at home in the garage, overnight with Phantom Drain taking its toll, the average loss was a very consistent 3 miles per night, which is about 5 hours per mile lost overnight. So totaling up those, we get an average of about 9.7 miles per day of loss total. So taking all those numbers into account, we see miles traveled of 37 and a range use of 57, which is about 65% overall efficiency. Now, according to the car, the efficiency of driving over this time period was 309 watt hours per mile. So by doing the math from before, we see a range of 242 miles, which is 86% of the claimed 280 mile range of the Model Y Performance. Now this is almost entirely from the spirited driving and the 21-inch rims that are heavy and have high rolling resistance that reduces the range. You could get the 280 miles, but this would require very slow driving and very close to ideal weather conditions. So now that we have gone over the efficiency, we can use these numbers to calculate the cost to drive the car over this period. So one key aspect of charging an electric car at home is something called off-peak rates. So this differs in different places, but here in Minnesota, the off-peak rate is 8 cents per kilowatt hour versus the standard 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and you can take advantage of that by using power in between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. So since you can set your charge, we set it to charge within that time period, and we get that rate, which allows us to charge the car for cheaper. So with that in mind, since we used around 57 miles of range per day on average, with an efficiency of 309 watt hours per mile, this gives us a 17.6 kilowatt hours used per day, which means 88 kilowatt hours used per week, which is about $7.04 using that off-peak per week of driving 37 actual miles per day in a Tesla Model Y Performance. So that monthly comes out to $28.16 and yearly $337.92. If you'd like to get a general idea of how your Tesla will stack up for a cost per mile standpoint, Figure out your yearly or monthly average miles driven, find your off-peak in your area with your energy provider, and then take your car's watt-hour per mile from the fueleconomy.gov website in the description, and then increase that number by about 14%, which is what my test result was with our Model Y in the real world, and then plug them into this formula. So that was just the price of charging the car, but I'm going to go over the overall price of the car to see how that impacts our total cost. So we had the performance upgrade with the performance upgrade package and the gray midnight silver metallic paint, the 5-seat white interior, and no full self-driving package. So that comes out to a MSRP of $62,990. Now in terms of a loan with Tesla, that's $907 a month at $4,500 down for a term of 72 months and a percentage of 2.99%. That's through Tesla. But with a more economical standard range Model Y that isn't out yet, you would be looking at around $610 monthly payment with a similar paint and interior options to ours. As long as there are any accidental incidents that your insurance won't cover, the cost of maintenance should be very low over our ownership period due to its electric car nature. So it turns out that the actual real-world efficiency wasn't the claimed amount, and those range claims didn't hold up in this test. But for us, that's perfectly okay because we don't use this car as a road trip car because most of our road trips we tow things with our gas SUV anyways. We charge this car at home and we'll never need to go that full range, so it's okay for us. But with battery day on the horizon, these numbers can go up quite a bit. If they can develop a new battery technology that they can put into all their cars, we could be looking at a 500-mile range on all cars in the future. Hopefully this happens, but for now, these cars aren't exactly the best for road tripping, especially when you tow. We'll see how they do with the Cybertruck with that, though. So compared to gas, this is extremely cheap, and it's even more cheap when you compare it to like a luxury car that this would compete with that uses premium fuel and gets a little less fuel economy. Now, one more aspect to add about this is that overall, in the whole life of the car, the actual efficiency was 318 watt-hours per mile, not 309, but I feel like that's just because of the spirited driving that occurred right after delivery. So if you do that, it actually comes out to $347, so $10 more, not very much of a big difference, but I thought I'd just point that out. So that's been the actual cost to drive the Tesla Model Y Performance. So one caveat to this test is that obviously we're within the first 1,000 miles, so this is subject to change. So I'll be sure to make a video over the next year going over our whole efficiency over the whole year. So that'll be cool when that comes out. Alright, so I hope this video was helpful to anyone looking to buy an electric car or anyone that's just curious about electric cars and how their price and range are affected. So one additional note before I close here, I actually saw an i1 Tesla video, I'll show it here on screen, of the headrest in the Model Y. I don't know how to get it up because I didn't even know they went up in the first place, but I saw his video and I was really confused. I was trying. You can actually feel the metal bars if you like stick your hand into the headrest, but there's no way to adjust that. If anyone knows, please leave a comment down below because I can't figure it out. Also, it's been my last week of online learning with like final exams and stuff, and that's why I didn't post a video last week, so I should be good now, but done with that now. Now I just have work over the summer. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm probably going to come out with the modifications video really soon and then start some videos on my car, not the Model Y. We'll see. If you guys have any other suggestions about Model Y videos, leave them down in the comments and I'll be sure to respond and possibly do them. So see you guys next time. Bye.